Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Rant. The Extreme Rules pay-per-view just finished a couple of minutes ago, so let's go over it. And as always, with all the pay-per-views, we will compare the actual results to my predictions. Yeah. Anyways, let's get right down to it. The pre-show starts, of course, with the panel, as it always does. Booker T, Alex Riley, and their special guest this time, Sheamus. Of course, the panel hosted by Josh Matthews, as it always is. The four of them talk, and there's a CM Punk chant. And that's not the last one, either. We get a recap from Raw of Kane attacking Brie, Bella, Bryan. I don't know, whatever the fuck. Brie Danielson. Let's just use real names here. Anyways, there's the recap of that. Yeah, and then it cuts backstage to the two locker rooms of our competitors, and I use that term loosely, but the competitors for our pre-show match. Yes, the WLC match between Hornswoggle and El Torito. Hornswoggle's there with 3MB, and Torito is in his locker room with the Matadors. Who gives a dog fuck? We get another recap from Raw of the crap between John Cena and Bray Wyatt. And, yeah, who cares? Another CM Punk chant. And then we finally cut over to ringside with the commentators. And they say, yeah, for this WLC match, we have some special guests. And the cameraman backs away from the commentary table to show a smaller commentary table with three midgets sitting at it, one dressed like JBL, one dressed like Michael Cole, and one dressed like Jerry Lawler. So we have mini versions of the commentators for no fucking reason. And they even tried to give them hilarious names like Micro Cole, Jerry Smaller, and JB Elf. I want to shoot myself after watching this dog shit, okay? We cut into the ring, and they even got themselves a midget ring announcer. And a midget referee as well for this match. This was so fucking stupid. And I know Vince was backstage laughing his ass off. This is some of the corniest shit, some of the dopiest puns. El Torito comes out with the Matadors, and Hornswoggle comes out with 3MB. And we get the match. And instead of this being like, you know, a one-on-one match, which is what it was advertised, it basically ends up being 3-on-4 brawl. The Matadors and Torito fighting 3MB and Hornswoggle. Now, Torito and Hornswoggle were the only ones actually involved in the match, but the other guys couldn't help but interfere. Jesus Christ, this match was shit, and it went on way too long. Torito gets a mini chair out from under the ring, and uses it. He sets it up in the corner, Hornswoggle's down in the corner, and Torito comes running up, he jumps off the little chair, and he handsprings up on the top rope, down crotch face into Hornswoggle's face, and starts giving him a Bronco Buster. And I really just want to shoot myself, because this was so bad. somebody got out a mini ladder, and then they got out a slightly bigger ladder, which was still nowhere near as big as one of the normal ladders. Oh, right. And what happens is, Hornswoggle sets up the ladder, and he climbs up to the top of it, and Torito was down, but Hornswoggle gets to the top, and he's like, oh no, I'm afraid of heights, I don't want to do this. And fucking Torito jumps up, he's like, come on, you pussy, jump on me! And he even lays down for him again, he fucking, like, literally laid down on him. Hornswoggle jumps, and of course Torito rolls out of the rings, or rolls out of the way, so Hornswoggle splats on the mat, and again, heel tactics. Like, yeah, I'll lay down and let you splash me. Nope, and I roll out of the way. And that just made me think of a moment from... Fuck, it was the Eddie Murphy version of the Dr. Dolittle movie. The two rats telling the big tiger to jump. Come on, jump, you pussy! I'll catch ya! Gnat! And he... Yeah, so what the fuck? I think El Torito went for like a Hurricane Rana or something, but Hornswoggle caught him and powerbombed him. And then there was a commercial break. Coming back from the break, we have a brawl on the outside of the ring between all three of the guys in 3MB and the two Matadors. And they're over by the ramp. There is no ramp, actually. There's no stage, there's no ramp. They're over in the aisleway brawling. And there was some shit going on. There was a mini chair splash. Oh yeah, I think Hornswoggle had the chair and he just kind of jumped and splashed on top of Torito with it, whatever. Hornswoggle clears off the mini commentator's table, and he puts Torito on the table, and then he gets up on the apron, and he splashes off of it and puts Torito through the table with a splash, and the crowd actually starts chanting, "This is awesome." Or maybe it was, "This is awful." I couldn't really tell. Yeah, this definitely wasn't awesome. Okay, folks? This is dumb. This is really fucking dumb. There's a chair shot on Torito. And then Slater got put through some tables. Yeah, they had some mini tables. And Slater got put through them. I think he got knocked off the apron and just kind of fell through a couple of mini tables. And then they had some more mini tables and some ladders set up on another side of the ring. And Mahal was standing on the apron and was trying to help. Let's see, the ladder was set up in the ring, and Hornswoggle was on the side of it by the ropes, and I think, was it Drew hoisted Torito up to the top rope, because what I'm guessing they were trying to do was Hornswoggle was going to superplex Torito off the top of the ladder through the tables below on the outside. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. That would literally kill both of them. So what ends up happening is the Matadors come up behind Mahal, who's on... Mahal's on the apron. The Matadors come up behind him and lift him up on their shoulders, and Torito comes jumping off the top of the ladder, does the crotch face senton, and they all fall backwards through the tables and the ladders below. Oh yeah. And then we had... Hornswoggle had Torito set up on another table on the outside of the ring. Again, no, it wasn't. It was a regular sized table, and it was over by the rampway, the aisleway, and so Hornswoggle's holding Torito on the table, and McIntyre's in the ring. He's like, "Come on, do something, whatever." And McIntyre's like, "Okay, fuck it." He runs, he hits the ropes, comes back, and does like a flip senton, like swanton style, over the ropes. Torito gets out of the way, and McIntyre crashes through the table by himself. And then we finally get the finish of the match. There's another mini table in the ring, and Hornswoggle gets knocked up against it, and Torito comes springboarding from the apron, jumps off, and basically does the drop in the dime, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. He gets the crotch face senton again, which drives Hornswoggle through the table. Covers him 1, 2, 3, match is over, and El Torito wins. So, I was correct with my prediction. By the way, you're going to hear me say that a lot tonight. Yeah. This match, holy fuck. Shit. Mini shit. Anyways, let's just move right along. We cut backstage to Byron Saxton, who gets to interview Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger, and Coulter just runs his mouth, and they end with a "We the People," and I don't give a fuck. We get another recap from Raw, the match between Roman Reigns and Randy Orton, and the ensuing brawl that took place after the DQ finish. More just hyping up the Shield Evolution match. And speaking of, we cut over to the panel who are talking about the Shield versus Evolution match. And that's the end of the pre-show, and we finally cut into the actual pay-per-view. And of course, there's another opening video package, as they always do. Every video package they did on this pay-per-view was way too fucking long. Drawn out as all hell. And this opening video package was no different. But yeah. After the video package, we get some pyro on the stage. Of course, it's a pay-per-view, so we have to do that now. I actually kind of like how they've been doing that lately. Saving the pyro for the pay-per-views and not doing it on Raw or SmackDown. Because honestly, Raw and SmackDown ain't worth the big pyro display. You know? Gotta save some money. Pay-per-view starts off, RVD comes out. And then Jack Swagger comes out with Zeb Coulter. And while the two of them are coming out, we get another recap from Raw of the match between RVD and Wade Barrett. And Cesaro and Swagger coming out, interfering in the match. Barrett winds up winning to end up being the #1 contender to the Intercontinental title, yada yada. And then we get the brawl between Cesaro, Swagger, and RVD, yada yada. After that, Paul Heyman comes out on the stage and starts running his fucking mouth. And he talks about how we're in Jersey. Oh yeah, I probably forgot to mention, the pay-per-view is in East Rutherford, New Jersey, the Izod Center. Yes, the same place we were at the night after WrestleMania last year, where the crowd was fucking great. Wasn't so great tonight, but still not bad, I guess. But yeah, Heyman starts talking. We're in Jersey, right here in, the area where ECW used to flourish and all that shit. But he just can't help himself, and he has to bring up Brock beating Undertaker at WrestleMania and ending the streak. Ugh. He finally introduces Cesaro, and Cesaro comes out. And we get our match. And I'm not sure where it was, but at some point, I don't know if it was during the pre-show or if it was just before the match, somebody said that this was an elimination match. And I was like, okay, well that's probably for the best. They really don't do enough elimination matches as it is. Because honestly, anytime you have a multi-man match, like a triple threat or a fatal four-way, you might as well just do it elimination style. That way you find out who the winner really is. Because the winner has to eliminate all the other competitors, or at least you have to be the last man standing, basically. That's the way you should do it, instead of just having a regular triple threat match where, like I've said before, one guy gets knocked out of the ring and the other two guys just fight, and anytime the third guy tries to get back in, they just knock him right back down. Or he'll come back in and take out one of the other guys, and then those two guys will end up fighting for a while, and it just goes back and forth, and it's boring. Well, either way, we get the match, and yes, it is elimination, even though there was kind of a weird... let's see, the commentator said something about right at the beginning of the match, this was a one fall to a finish, and I'm like, no, you idiot, somebody just said it was elimination. And you know what? I think it might have been Roberts, the ring announcer. I don't know. Either way, the match was alright. Spots include RVD does a monkey flip out of the corner on Cesaro. And as Cesaro comes flipping over, Swagger's laying there, and Cesaro lands on top of him. I think Cesaro was on the apron, and Rob did a sunset flip powerbomb to the floor. Swagger hits the Swagger bomb on RVD, and then Cesaro jumps in and grabs Swagger and starts giving him the big swing. And as he's doing that, I think he got around 8 or 9, maybe 10 times, RVD jumped up and hit like a spinning back wheel kick and hit Cesaro in the face to break up the fucking swing, and the crowd booed at that. They're like, we want to see the swing. People keep breaking it up. That's pissing us off. Okay. RVD went up top to go for the 5-star, but Swagger jumped up and looked like he was going to give him a super belly-to-belly suplex, but instead, he just kind of threw him and flapjacked him down into the Patriot Lock. And RVD's in the Patriot Lock, he's not tapping out, and Cesaro springboards off the ropes, turns in midair, and European uppercuts Swagger in the face. So that breaks up the Patriot Lock. After that, Swagger was on the apron in the corner, and Cesaro grabs him and does the big deadlift superplex from out of the corner. And after he hits that, RVD comes down off the top rope and hits the 5-star on Swagger. 1, 2, 3, Swagger's eliminated. So, it's down to just Cesaro and RVD. Cesaro does, he hits his own version of the Three Amigos. He does his deadlift, gut-wrench suplex. He hits it once, holds on, rolls over, picks him up again, his suplexes him a second time, rolls him over, picks him up again, and a third time. So 3 deadlift gut-wrench suplexes in a row. RVD goes for his windmill kick, but Cesaro catches him into a big deadlift German suplex. They spill out to the outside of the ring, where, for some reason, Cesaro jumped on top of the barricade to go for something. I don't know what, but before he could do it, Rob hit him, and that put Cesaro gut first on the barricade, and of course, Rob does his stupid classic spinning leg drop from the apron of the ring, crashing down on top of his back on the dude in the barricade, you know. By the way, do you think they're ever going to put that move into the WWE games? Because it doesn't seem like it. Anyways, as Cesaro rolls back into the ring after taking that leg drop, RVD's already there. He bounces off the ropes and hits the Rolling Thunder on him. Only a 2 count. RVD hits the split leg moonsault, only gets a 2 count. And then RVD goes he goes out of the ring and grabs a trash can out from under the ring. And I'm thinking, you're going to get disqualified here. This isn't an Extreme Rules match. But then I'm guessing, okay, they must be going by regular triple threat rules. There's no DQ. Would have been nice had they explained that. But either way, he gets the trash can, and he goes to get it in the ring with him, but Cesaro gets up and baseball slide kicks it into RVD's guts. Cesaro goes out, throws RVD in, throws the trash can in. And what ends up happening is Rob grabs the can, throws it at Cesaro, and Van Daminators it into his face. And then what happens is Rob goes to set up for the 5-star. He gets Cesaro down, perpendicular with the corner, which I thought was weird. But he gets Cesaro down, and he puts the trash can on top of him. And he goes up to the top rope. He goes for the 5-star. Cesaro rolls out of the way, but leaves the trash can. So Rob comes down and face plants on the fucking trash can, kills himself. Cesaro scrambles really quick, grabs Rob, sets him up for the neutralizer, lifts him up, face plants him on the trash can again, rolls him over, covers him, 1, 2, 3, Cesaro wins. And yet again, I was correct in that prediction. So, yes. 2 for 2. Cutting backstage to the trainer's office, there's Daniel Bryan with the trainer, and then Stephanie comes up, and she says, as one of the chief owners or whatever the fuck, I'm supposed to look out for the well-being of all the superstars, especially the World Heavyweight Champion, and so I don't want to see you get hurt, so I'd like to suggest that you just surrender the title so Kane doesn't have to kill you. And I can't remember exactly what Bryan says, but he basically tells her to fuck off. Not those exact words, obviously. We can't use fuck on a fucking WWE show. But he basically tells her to hit the bricks, and I ain't backing down, whatever the hell. And he said, one thing that Bryan did said, he said, I'm walking into New Jersey as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and I'm going to walk out exactly the same way. And Stephanie says, I think instead what's going to happen is you're going to walk out as, what was that word that Brie called me on Raw? Oh yeah. You're going to walk out as Kane's bitch. End of that segment. And then we get another Bo Dallas video. Ugh. Fuck you, Bo. The only Bo I want to see is Bo Burnham, okay? Bo Dallas, you suck. Shit wrestler. Boring motherfucker. You got a creepy goddamn smile. And Bray is supposed to be the creepy one. Yeah, no. Moving on. Cutting back out to the arena, Roberts, our ring announcer, introduces the ravishing Russian, Lana. She comes out wearing a blue dress for some reason. Or not a blue dress, but like a blue skirt with the blue, like she wears like a business, sort of like a female version of a business suit, like a skirt with the blazer on top sort of thing. And normally it's red, right? Because she's Russian. This time it's blue. Don't know why. Rusev is also wearing blue, but whatever. But Lana comes out, she speaks Russian for a second, and then she says, this match tonight is dedicated to my mentor, my hero, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. And they even show a picture of him up on the Titantron. She introduces Rusev, and Rusev comes out to crickets like he always does, because nobody fucking cares about this guy. He comes out and gets in the ring, and then Truth's music hit, and him and Woods come out. And before they can fully get into the ring, let's see, Woods is in the ring, and he eats a super kick from Rusev. Woods does. Woods recoils back, bumps into Truth, who's on the apron. Truth goes flying off the apron. Woods gets the shit beat out of him by Rusev, thrown to the outside, where Rusev pulls up the ring skirt and grabs Woods and throws him face first into the frame of the ring. There's like metal crossbars down there under the ring skirt. Throws him face first into that. But he's not done yet. He picks Woods up and does this huge belly-to-belly overhead suplex, slamming Woods on the floor. Woods is dead. He's done after this. The match hasn't even started yet. Rusev grabs Truth, throws him into the ring, gets in the ring with him, and the ref calls for the bell. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Don't all the competitors have to be ready before the ref can ring the bell? Or is that only in like a Money in the Bank cash-in? Whatever. Match is pretty short. Wish I could have said the same thing about the midget match. It was still... who cares? Bad joke. The match starts. Almost immediately, there's a "We Want Lana" chant. For the first couple of minutes, Truth is actually taking it to Rusev, hitting him with some pretty big offense, flying corkscrew forearm. He actually manages to hit his scissors kick, the big axe kick on him. He only gets a 2. Truth goes for another big flying kick or something, but Rusev ducks it, and he bounces off the ropes, and he comes back, and as Truth, I guess, is getting up or whatever, as he turns around, Rusev hits a big, jumping, spinning wheel kick, and just floors Truth. And then he picks him up, and he hits the big spinning slam thing that he's been doing. And then he locks Truth in the accolade, and Truth taps out. So Rusev wins. And the crowd is dead. Yeah, so Rusev won, just like I predicted. That's 3 for 3 now. Rusev and Lana go to leave, but then all of a sudden, Rusev goes back and grabs Woods and starts beating on him some more. Even though he was dead during the whole match. He grabs Woods up, gets him up, and Lana goes, crush, and he fucking fall-away slams Woods on the floor. That's the end of that. They do another commercial. And we come backstage where Renee Young is with the 3 members of Evolution. All wearing these new, terrible t-shirts. And I'm guessing they were supposed to be some awful parody of the Evolution drawing of going from the monkey to the man or whatever, It looked like stick figures. I don't know what the hell the point of it was, but who the hell cares? Whatever. Cutting back to the arena, Barrett's music hits. And he comes out. And he gets pyro again, but it looked kind of weak. And after the pyro, he has a microphone and he starts talking. And I think he mentioned something about the ears virus. If you haven't heard about this, it seems to be or at least something similar to the SARS virus that was over in, I believe that was over in, like, China and Japan. It had all the people wearing the face masks, the breath masks and stuff. But apparently this is the, like, European version of it. And it could possibly spread over to America, and that's what Barrett's talking about. Yeah, you guys are going to get infected and die and whatever. Big E comes out with the title. And at this point, they finally show, oh, hey, we've got Spanish announcers. And I think Ricardo was there. And so we have our Intercontinental title match which turned out to be okay, I guess. Did I mention Rusev versus Truth and Woods was shit? And the triple threat match was actually alright. Torito and Hornswoggle was shit. Oh yeah, I'll just do that at the end. Anyways, let's move on. We get the match between Big E and Barrett for the Intercontinental title. This one didn't seem to be all that long either, because all the highlights I have... First one is Barrett was up against the post on the outside, and Big E comes charging and spears him up against the post. Back in the ring, Barrett gets Big E locked in the ropes and does his rope clinch repeating knees that he's been doing. Afterwards, Barrett was on the apron and Big E was in the ring. And Big E comes charging and spears Barrett through the ropes all the way to the fucking floor. We've seen this before, but it doesn't stop it from being fucking awesome. Back in the ring, Barrett hits the Winds of Change, and then the Wasteland, and then he brings his elbow pad around to be, red, that dumb shit. And let's see, Big E was in the corner. Barrett comes charging, and Big E catches him with the Samoa Joe spot. And I don't know if I've described this before, but if you've seen Samoa Joe in TNA, he'll be in the corner and some guy will come charging, and he'll hook him like a Uranagi and just kind of slam him straight down. Well, that's basically what happened. Big E slams the fuck out of Barrett. And Big E does his crossover splash he's been doing lately. And he gets Barrett up for the big ending, but I think what happened was Barrett slipped out the back, bounced off the ropes, and then nails Big E with the bullhammer elbow. Covers him 1, 2, 3. Barrett wins. New Intercontinental Champion. Just like I predicted. So now I'm 4 for 4 now. Or however many it is, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Moving on, we get another video package for Adam Rose. And that'll be interesting to see him debut on Raw tomorrow. After that, we get a big video package hyping up the Shield and Evolution match. And like I said before, all the video packages tonight were way too long. This went on way too long. Yeah. So anyways, finally, the Evolution music hits and the three of those ass clowns come out to no fucking reaction. They got nothing from the crowd. Crowd don't give a fuck about these three assholes. Let's see. They were already bored of Randy for a while. He was getting crickets when he was coming out as the champion before. Batista gets nothing but a small boo and then the crowd dies. And Triple H has been getting crickets for a while too. The people are bored of these three assholes. They don't want to see these motherfuckers. And neither do I. Anyways. So Evolution are in the ring and they're waiting. And they're waiting. And there's one hell of a pause. Finally, the Shield music starts. And they come out together. And the commentators kind of wrote off the pause as the Shield were playing mind games with Evolution because Triple H was like, I'm the cerebral assassin and you're going to find out why. And I'm thinking, fuck you. Anyways, the Shield comes out. And they get in the ring. And there's a stare down between the two teams. And the bell has not rang yet. I don't know why, though. But whatever. Finally, big brawl erupts between the two teams, and they're all beating the hell out of each other. The Shield clears the ring. Evolution are dumped outside, of course. And the crowd starts chanting, "Hounds of Justice." They've been doing that lately, so yeah. Finally, the match starts. And what we get is probably the best match all year long from, like, not even just from the beginning of this year, I'm talking for the last 12 fucking months. This has been the best match I have seen in the last year. So many spots, so many great stuff. Oh, man. Rollins starts off with Triple H. And, let's see. Triple H winds up on the outside of the ring, and Rollins hits a suicide dive on him. But once they get back in the ring, Rollins gets isolated by Evolution, and the three of them are tagging in and out, just beating the shit out of Rollins. And finally what happens is Rollins is trying to crawl over to make the tag, and I think Batista and Orton came running over, and they knocked Roman and Ambrose off the apron, so Seth couldn't make the tag. Finally, what ends up happens is Ambrose gets back on the apron, and Rollins is able to tag him in. So Ambrose comes in, and he goes fucking crack happy on Orton. Because I think Orton was the legal man at the time. He's throwing punches, just running, like seriously, goes fucking crack happy on him. Flying all over the place, it was ridiculous. He goes to lock in, he locks in the figure 4 on Randy, but Triple H gets in pretty quick and breaks it up. Out on the outside of the ring, Triple H found his way over there somehow, and Roman came charging at him. They're over by the Shield's corner of the ring, which is over by the walkway, the aisleway, where they come in. Not where the Shield comes in, but where everybody else comes in. The lack of a ramp. Right, so Triple H is over by the steps, over in the Shield's corner. Roman comes charging, Triple H jumps out of the way, and Roman crashes through the fucking steps. So, yeah, because he was going to try and spear Triple H through the steps, but Triple H got out of the way. Yeah. Back in the ring, Batista gets tagged in, and immediately there's a Boo-Tista chant. This motherfucker was gassed so bad. Ugh. Ambrose gets isolated, so once again, the Evolution is just isolating, you know, classic heel tag team sort of shit. Isolate the one guy, beat the shit out of him, so he can build up to the hot tag. Yada yada. Finally, some order comes back, and Rollins and Roman are back on the apron. And then there was a "You Can't Wrestle" chant directed at Batista. And, let's see, Ambrose was still getting beat up by Evolution. Triple H was legal. Ambrose is able to grab Triple H and plant him with a big frickin' DDT. And Ambrose was able to make it over to the corner and tag in Roman. So he comes in, starts clearing house. Triple H got thrown out of the ring. I think Batista was legal. And Batista was necked on the bottom rope. So, of course, Roman goes to the outside. Triple H goes to deck him, but Roman ducks underneath it and still manages to jump back up to drop kick Batista in the face. What ended up happening is Batista went for the Batista bomb on Roman. But in comes Rollins, springboarding from the apron, and hits the big flying knee on Batista, so that breaks that up. Roman hits the Superman punch, I guess on Batista. And then the three of them, the Shield guys, they get in the ring, and they get Batista up on Roman's shoulders, and they hit the Fall of Justice, slam the fuck out of him. Roman goes for the pin, but it gets broken up by Triple H or Orton, or maybe both of them. I don't know. Rollins goes for another suicide dive on Triple H, but Triple H gets out of the way. And Rollins crashes into the fucking barricade. Ugh. Back in the ring, Triple H gets in there and pedigrees Roman. But Triple H gets taken out by Ambrose. And then Randy RKO's Roman. And I think Batista covered him, but the pin was broken up by Rollins, who somehow managed to get back in the ring after crashing into the fucking barricade. Big brawl breaks out on the outside. One of the camera guys who had the main shot fell on his ass. Don't know how that happened. Let's see. Rollins was being isolated by Triple H and Randy over in the Timekeepers area. And I believe they had cleared off both of the commentary tables. Or maybe not, I don't remember. But they're beating the hell out of Rollins over in the Timekeepers area. Here comes Ambrose running across both tables, dives on top of Triple H and Randy and takes them the hell out. And then the four of them, Triple H, Randy, Ambrose, and Rollins, go fighting out into the crowd. The legal two men are still Roman and Batista. They're in the ring. Both of them look to be gassed. They're laying on the mat, just sucking wind, and they end up laying there for about 3-4 minutes while the camera follows this big brawl between the other four guys. The four of them, Ambrose and Rollins and Triple H and Randy, go brawling out into the crowd, way the hell off. Let's see. Dean gets thrown down a flight of stairs. He just kind of spins down and kind of uses the handrail to kind of break his fall a little bit, otherwise he would have killed himself. Right. Randy and Triple H go down the stairs after Dean, and they're kind of beating him up for a minute or two, and they're right in front of one of the big doorways that the people use to come into the arena, right? And so it's this big archway, and of course, over top of it, there's a railing where there's more grandstands for people to sit. And so Randy and Triple H are beating on Ambrose, and then all of a sudden they turn around and look up. Here comes Rollins jumping off the top of the fucking doorway, comes crashing down on all three of them. He wipes everybody out. The four of them are dead, laying there on the ground. Jesus Christ. Back in the ring, we finally get some more action between the two legal guys. Batista hits a spine buster. You know, he hits his spine buster on Roman, and he goes to do the Batista bomb, but Roman just kind of shoves him off. And then he jumps up and Superman punches him, clocks him in the fucking face, backs up, comes charging, hits the fucking spear, covers Batista, 1, 2, 3, the Shield wins. Crowd blew the fuck up. They were fucking so excited and happy. And once again, I predicted that one as well. What ends up happening is Reigns, who's like the only person who's conscious after all this, he has to go out into the crowd over to the frickin' the doorway over where Ambrose and Rollins is. He grabs Ambrose, picks him up, and gets him on his shoulder, and he grabs Rollins by the hand and picks him up. And he finally sets Dean down, and they do their little triple fisty pose where they, you know, this is the new symbol of excellence, their little fisty pose. And that's the end of that segment. That match was fucking great. Like I said, best match I've seen in a year. Anyways, I guess the Shield guys, they just kind of left through that doorway, out through the crowd like they always do. We finally cut back to the ring, where we see up above the cage is being lowered. The steel cage. So obviously it's time for Cena and Bray. And of course, we get another video package. Another video package that's way too goddamn long. They must have been seriously trying to fill some time, because these video packages were way too long. Anyways, who cares? Cena's music hits and he comes out. And of course he doesn't really get the best reaction. He comes running down the aisleway like he always does, and he stops just before he hits the ring, because normally, you know, he'd slide into the ring, because the cage is lowered. I actually thought it would have been funny as hell if he would have went to slide in anyways, like he would have forgot, and he went to slide in, he would have splat up against the cage and then hit the fucking floor. That would have been hilarious, but no. But don't worry, Cena's face hits that cage plenty of times during this match. So, anyways, the Wyatt music hits and the three of those monkeys come out. And the match starts, and it's a cage match. I hate cage matches. If you wanted to do a cage match, number one, Cena, you're an idiot for thinking a steel cage match would keep Harper and Rowan out. Spoiler alert, it fucking didn't. Okay? Didn't help at all. Number two, if you really wanted to keep them out, Hell in a Cell, idiot. There's a roof on that cage. They lock the door. The only way to escape is for somebody to get broken through one of the cage walls. So, yeah, that would have been a better idea. Maybe they're building up to that, like maybe the next match between Bray and Cena is going to be a Hell in a Cell match. And the only way I would want to see that if they would go back to the old Hell in a Cell match, the old Hell in a Cell cage, rather, the one that's lower, and then I want to see somebody get put through the top of the cage. And I don't honestly care who it would be. I don't care if Bray gets the attitude adjustment through the cage and then falls into the ring. I don't care if Cena gets, like, powerbombed or whatever through the cage and falls into the ring. I really wouldn't care. Anyways, like I said, I think I already said it, this match was boring as fuck. I don't give a damn about either one of these guys, or any of them, because there's honestly 4 guys in this match. This was still basically a 3-on-1 match. Because the whole match, Harper and Rowan are on the outside. Anytime Cena would try to climb up, they'd go over to where he was, and they're climbing up, and they're like, no, motherfucker, you're gonna stay in there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just go through it. Beginning of the match, there's a Let's Go Wyatt chant. Cena climbs up, but gets blocked by Harper and Rowan. The big dueling Cena chant. Okay. Bray got Cena face first up against the cage wall over by the side by the aisleway. And there's Harper and Rowan. And Bray's like, Rowan, do something or whatever. And Rowan finally takes his stupid sheep mask off. And he comes charge and he basically like forearm shots the cage, pushing it up against Cena. And this is supposed to hurt for some reason. I don't get it, but whatever. So he hits him like that. The crowd starts singing The Whole World in His Hands, shit, whatever. Cena tries to climb again, but still gets blocked. And he gets grabbed by Bray and pulled back in. And Bray does the Uranagi slam the rock bottom standing version. Bray grabs Cena and starts doing his goofy swing dancing thing where he's kind of swinging him around. He used to do this shit in NXT where he would swing the guy around and then pull him into the Sister Abigail and plant him. But no, he pulls him in and does the Uranagi slam again. Don't know why. Cena goes for the attitude adjustment, but it's countered. I don't know exactly how. It doesn't matter. Cena hits his ugly fucking drop kick. Cena, dude, seriously, you're too top heavy to do a drop kick. Anyways, Cena tries to climb again. And as he's doing this, Bray, who was flat on his back, gets up in his crab walk position. And he crab walks all the way over to the door of the cage. And the referee, of course, opens the door because that's what they always do. Cena sees this, jumps down off the cage, goes over and has to grab Bray to pull him back in. Bray grabs him, throws him into the fucking cage, and then a second time. And yada yada. Cena does his comeback combo. He does a shoulder tackle and then another shoulder tackle. And then he does the protoplex. And then he does the 5-knuckle shuffle. and he gets Bray up on his shoulders to go for the attitude adjustment again, but as he lifts him up, it kind of throws him off balance, and they head towards the cage, and Bray grabs it and gets up off of Cena's shoulders and starts climbing the cage. And, somehow Cena holds on to him and gets him in powerbomb position, pulls him off of the cage, and he hits the Batista bomb. He seriously fucking sit-out power bombs him. And after that, Cena went to walk out through the door. But as he's walking over, of course, the referee opens it up, and there's Rowan behind the ref who gets the ref out of the way, and he grabs the door and just kind of closes it. And Cena's looking at him like, what the fuck? And I'm thinking, hey, he could have slammed the thing in your face. You better be thankful he didn't kill you with it. Jeez. But yeah, so Cena's still standing there on the apron right by the door, and Rowan's holding it shut, and so Cena grabs a hold of the cage door, and it's like test of strength where they're trying to fight with the door, and Cena's trying to push it open, and Rowan's trying to keep it closed. And Cena starts getting it open a little bit, and then here comes Harper, who starts pushing on it too, and so the two of them fight Cena off. And then Bray comes over and just kind of forearm shots Cena in the back of the head, knocks him the fuck out. Yada yada. I think Bray pulled Cena up to the top rope, and then I think Cena fought him off, and then did like a top rope diving bulldog. Don't know what the fuck that was. Cena goes to climb again. Harper fights him on top of the cage. Like, they're both on top of the cage, and they're both, like, straddling the top, and they're both fighting. And what ends up happening is Cena drags Harper into the cage and into the ring. So now Cena's in there with Harper and Bray. I think Cena went to climb again. Okay. Cena was trying to climb over the thing, and Bray was trying to get out through the door. Cena kicks the door shut into Bray's face, and that knocks Bray out. So Rowan's still down there on the floor, and he grabs a chair, and he's kind of whacking at the cage, telling Cena to get the fuck back in. And so Cena ends up back in the ring, and Bray grabs him and does that throwing suplex thing that he does. And after that, he does the Husky Harris special, the running senton thing. And he goes for the Sister Abigail, but Cena ducks out of the way and trips him into the STF. So he's got him locked in the STF. Bray crawls over towards the door, which the referee opens, and Bray keeps pulling, and he basically necks Cena on the bottom rope, which has to make Cena break the hold. And where the fuck was I? Okay, right, broken. Okay, then Bray's trying to crawl out through the door, but Cena grabs him by the legs, and on the outside, Rowan grabs Bray by the arms, and they're doing like a tug-of-war with him. And, let's see, Cena ends up winning the tug-of-war. He manages to pull Bray back in. Harper comes up, but Cena throws him into the cage. And then Bray grabs Cena and throws him into the cage. And Bray goes to climb up from one of the corners. And Cena grabs him and stops him. They're up on the top rope. Cena gets Bray on his shoulders, going for the super attitude adjustment. And I'm thinking, okay, he's never hit this. Bray's going to break out or something. But no. He hits the super attitude adjustment. Slams the fuck out of Bray in the middle of the ring. Cena kind of hesitates for a minute, goes for a cover Only gets 2 because Harper breaks the pin. Cena comes running, nails Harper with a big clothesline, wipes him out. And Cena goes to climb up again. And Rowan goes up on that side. And the two of them end up fighting at the top of the cage again. Cena kind of drops down a little bit back into the cage, and he grabs Rowan by his beard. And he's pulling him down, ramming him face first into the top of the trussing there, or whatever it's called, on the top of the cage. So he's banging his fucking head on the top of the cage. Basically knocks him out. Cena gets pulled back down. He takes out Harper again. And Bray's still down from the super attitude adjustment. Like I said, Harper got taken out. Cena goes to walk out of the door. And as he's walking out, you can see Rowan is still slumped over the top of the cage, just kind of dangling there. Harper's laid out. Bray is still laid out. Cena goes to get out of the cage. He's on the apron. The door's open. And then all of a sudden, the Wyatt cut. And we hear this demonic singing. Once again, we got the whole world in his hands, you know. The lights finally come back on, or I think it was just a spotlight showing this one kid standing there by the steps, you know, by the cage door, singing, and this kid has this demonic voice. And he's like right up there by Cena, and Cena's like, what the fuck? Finally, the lights come back on, and I think Cena kind of got back into the ring, turns around, gets grabbed by Bray. Bray hits the Sister Abigail, lays Cena the fuck out. Bray walks out through the door and wins. So Bray wins. And again, I did predict that. Bray hugs the kid, and the three of the Wyatts leave with the kid. The crowd's dead, and right before they go through the curtain, we do the cutaway gag again, and we cut up to the panel talking about shit. Who cares? And they segue into a recap of the WLC match from the pre-show. Finally, it's time for the Divas title match. I'm thinking, okay, there's only the 2 matches left. What the fuck? Tamina's music hits, and she comes out to no reaction, because nobody cares about her. Then Paige's music hits, and she comes out. We get the Divas title match, which turned out to be okay. Not a whole lot going on in this match. Paige went up top, but I think Tamina kicked her in the face, and so Paige spilled all the way out to the floor. They got back in the ring and they fought around a minute, and then we get the chick fight, sort of grab her by the hair, and they spill through the ropes to the apron to the floor. And, what happened was, Paige got back up on the apron and went to dive off to do like a Hurricane Rana on Tamina, but Tamina catches her, swings her around like tornado style, head first into the barricade. This looked pretty sick, and I'm thinking, okay, shit, concussion, Jesus. She was able to finish the match, so maybe not. They go back inside the ring, and Tamina got Paige up on her shoulders to go for like a Samoan drop. And I'm like, okay, she's going to do a Samoan drop and then go for the splash. But no, she's got her up on her shoulders. She walks into the corner and starts walking up the ropes. And I'm thinking she's going to do a fucking super Samoan drop. Shit. But no, Paige gets out of it, slips down the back, and is able to do like a sunset flip bomb, basically. So she slams her down. Tamina's down on her knees, and Paige comes running and does like a tilt-a head scissors thing. It looks like she hit La Mystica, Sin Cara's old finisher. Or at least that was Mystico's finisher. The La Mystica was a like I said, like a tilting head scissors thing into like a spinning, slam him face first, and then he'd go and do an arm bar. But Paige just basically slammed her face first, but it was still like the La Mystica. Anyway, so she hits that. Tamina does the swinging Uranagi slam. And then Tamina goes to do a super kick. But Paige catches her leg, trips her, she grabs the other leg and trips her, gets her into the Scorpion crosslock, and Tamina taps out. So Paige wins, retains the title, and yet again, I did predict that. And so Paige is up on the turnbuckle celebrating, and all of a sudden, Wyatt cut. And we look up on the Titantron, there's the Wyatts. And Bray's cutting a promo. And the kid is there, the weird kid, whom Bray refers to as Little Johnny. And I'm thinking, Little Johnny? Wasn't that Heidenreich's thing? Little Johnny? I wrote a poem about Little Johnny, you know. And at the end of the promo, Little Johnny, in his fucking voice synthesized, sounds like Nails from way back. Or at least they use the same effect. But Little Johnny at the end says, "Follow the buzzards," and that's the end of the promo. And it's time for another video package. This time for the Bryan and Kane thing, and we get the recap video, Bryan winning the title and the yada yada all the way up until now. Again, this was way too long. They're really trying to fill in time. And then Bryan's music hits, and he comes out first for some reason. Oh yeah, I know why. But anyways, while he's coming out, they use this opportunity to say, our next pay-per-view is going to be Payback. That's going to be on June 1st, and it's going to be in Chicago. Oh boy, I really hope you know who comes back. It's his hometown. Let's have him and AJ come back. Yeah. But anyways, finally Kane's music hits and the stage blows up with the pyro. He starts coming out. But as he's coming out, Bryan's like, fuck this. He jumps out of the ring. He starts running up the ramp and he starts just wailing on Kane. And so the match starts immediately. And they're brawling on the outside. Kane gets a kendo stick and starts hitting Bryan with it. Kane went up to the top rope, but Bryan drop-kicked him. And that just kind of set Kane down. He basically kind of got crotched. But Bryan uses this to hit the Super Hurricane Rana on him. And then Kane gets up and he's up against the ropes and Bryan comes running and cross-bodies him. They go toppling over the top rope all the way to the floor. They brawl a minute. Kane throws Bryan back into the ring and Kane grabs a couple of chairs and throws them into the ring. Then he gets in and he grabs one of the chairs and he wedges it into the corner. And I think what happened is Kane grabbed the other chair and went to go after Bryan, but Bryan's on the outside of the ring and he's grabbed the kendo stick and he whacks Kane with it. And Kane goes flopping back into the ring. Bryan goes up onto the top rope with the kendo stick, and he goes to dive off the top rope with it, but Kane basically caught him with a shot to the throat, you know, Kane's throat shot that he always does. Kane grabs the other chair and starts whacking Bryan with it. And then he sets the chair up, like you normal set up a folding chair. He sets it up, and he grabs Bryan, and he gets him up like his sidewalk slam, slams him on the chair, which flattens the fucking chair. Kane goes for the choke slam, but Bryan gets out of it, backs into the corner with the chair wedged in it. Kane comes running, Bryan drop toe holds him, and Kane goes face first into the chair. And then Bryan goes up top and does a big missile drop kick. And Kane winds up on the outside of the ring. Bryan suicide dives him, nails that. And then they go over by the commentary tables. and Bryan grabs the topper part off of the Spanish announce table, and he starts hitting Kane with it. He hits him a couple times with it, kind of staggers him. He goes back over and grabs one of the monitors out of the table, and he hits Kane with that. And then I think he did the same thing with the English announcers. He grabs the topper part of that and hits Kane with it. Grabs a monitor, hits him with that. He clears off both tables. Or no, Kane clears off both tables. And he gets Bryan up on top of one of the tables. And he goes to choke slam him, but Bryan breaks out of it. Throws Kane off the table down to the floor. Kane turns around, and Bryan kicks him in the face. And then Bryan dives off the table, grabs Kane by the head, tornadoes him around, and plants him head first, DDT on the floor. Then Bryan gets thrown into the steps, and Kane takes the steps apart, and he goes to set up for a tombstone on the steps again. But Bryan slips down the back and shoves Kane face first into the post, because they were still right there by the post. Bryan starts hitting him with stick shots again, the kendo stick. And they're brawling up the ramp. And Kane grabs him and throws him into the Minitron on the stage, which, after a couple of seconds, the LED board or whatever it is, it actually dies, so it goes black. It kind of lagged, but it blacked out. Then Kane grabs Bryan, throws him through the curtain, and they're going backstage. And I'm like, holy shit, we're actually getting a hardcore brawl through the backstage? Damn! They're backstage, and there's a monitor back there. It's a big, like, flat-screen TV. And, I don't know what the hell was with this, but Kane grabs this TV and throws it at this barrel. I guess Bryan was standing against it, but Kane throws it at it, and Bryan gets out of the way, and the TV falls into the barrel, which is full of water, and so sparks start shooting out of it. Whatever the fuck. They're brawling back through a hallway, and then there's a big double doorway. Kane throws them through the doors, and they're back in, like, the parking area backstage with a bunch of cars and shit. And I think they even had the production truck, one of the big, like, semi-tractor trailers with the WWE shit all over it. That's where they usually have the production thing. Bryan hits Kane with a snow shovel. And then Bryan throws Kane up against the truck, the big production truck. And then he throws Kane onto a car. There's a car there. He backs him onto this car, and he mounts him and starts doing, like, the mounted 10 punches, whatever. He hits that. And then he backs off of him, and he comes running, and Kane backdrops him up onto the fucking hood, which breaks the windshield. And Bryan's laying there. Kane grabs something, looked like a fire extinguisher maybe, some sort of canister, and he goes to throw it. Bryan gets out of the way, and the thing just goes right through the windshield. Bryan runs over, there's another car, it looked like a BMW, and he's up against this car, and so Kane comes charging and goes to punch Bryan, but again, Bryan gets out of the way, and so Kane's fist goes through the window of this car. And I think the window exploded. And I don't know if the trunk of the car was already open or if Bryan somehow opened it. I think it was already open. But Bryan looks in the trunk and he pulls out a tire iron. And he cracks Kane upside the head with it. And Kane goes down in a crumple heap. And so, for some idiotic reason, even though this is a Extreme Rules match... Oh yeah, did I mention that? Not like I need to with all the weapon shit. Yeah, this is an Extreme Rules match. Even though this is an Extreme Rules match, it's not Falls Count Anywhere. So essentially, this is a street fight. You can fight anywhere, you can use any weapon, but it has to end in the ring, for some reason. And I'm thinking, okay, well then why didn't they just call this a street fight? Because that's not Extreme Rules. In Extreme Rules, Falls Count Anywhere, motherfuckers. Anyways, Kane's out cold pretty much after the shot with the tire iron. And Brian can't cover him, so he's like, what the fuck, I can't pick this guy up, he's too big. So he basically just drags Kane over. He sees there's a forklift over here nearby, and it's got one of the like pallets on the fork, you know. So he drags Kane over to the forklift and he puts him on top of the pallet, and he grabs the tire iron back and he hits Kane a couple more times with the tire iron. Brian gets in the forklift, lifts Kane's big ass up with the forks, and starts driving the forklift, and he drives it all the way back to the ring, where he stops, lifts the pallet up even higher, high enough so that it's above the top rope, and then he uses it, or somehow apparently you can change the angle on the fork, and he lowers it so Kane falls off and falls into the ring. So Kane's now laying in the ring prone. Not prone, he's laying on his back. Brian gets out, climbs on top of the forklift, on top of the pallet, and I think he was like, yes, yes! He comes diving, big Benoit headbutt, and he nails it, only gets a 2. Kane has had his ass kicked, he's been knocked out by the tire iron shots, he was out cold the entire time Brian was carrying him with the forklift all the way back to the ring. Big diving headbutt, only a 2 count. And then Kane does the Jason Voorhees spot where he sits up. And Brian's like, oh shit. I don't remember what... I think Brian was going to go for the big super knee. But Kane caught him and hits the choke slam. Only gets a 2. Oh yeah. Kane grabs the chair, the same one that was wedged in the corner before he knocked it out. He grabs the chair and he sits it on the apron, or on the mat. Like he just lays it down on the mat like he's gonna slam him or whatever. He gets Brian up for the tombstone. Brian gets out of it, turns it into a DDT, and he plants Kane on the chair. He grabs the chair and he wails on Kane some more, just beating the fuck out of him repeatedly. Chair shot after chair shot. Kane's down on the mat and Brian's just wailing on him. Chair shot after chair shot. He finally drops the chair, locks Kane in the S-lock. And Kane's not tapping, but he can't break it. He has to crawl over and he grabs the kendo stick. And he starts whacking backwards over his head to hit Brian. And we get a repeat of Brian's match, another Extreme Rules match, I think, with Randy. Where same thing was happening, Randy was using the kendo stick, Brian grabs it, uses it to assist with the S-lock. And that's exactly what happens here. Brian grabs the stick and uses it to assist the S-lock. Kane can't fucking break out, he's got no weapon now, but he's not gonna fucking tap out. And so he does the same thing Bray did in the cage match earlier. He crawls over towards the ropes to crawl out of the ring, and he basically necks Brian on the rope, and so Brian has to break the hold. Kane gets out of the ring, and Brian comes running to do the suicide dive. But Kane catches him, spins him around, picks him up, choke slams him through the English announcer table. And everybody's like, fuck, Brian's dead. This has got to be it, right? Kane... I think Kane just left Brian where he laid there through the table. Kane goes underneath the ring, and I can see gas canisters. Gas cans. You know, the big red gas cans. And I'm like, oh, fuck, you're kidding me. He pulls out a table. One of the regular wooden tables. And he sets it up. He goes back and he grabs one of the gas cans and opens it up and starts dumping the gas on the table. And I'm like, motherfuck. He pulls out one of them big barbecue lighters. You know, the one with the stick thing and you pull the trigger to light it. He lights the fucking table up. And I think what had happened was Bryan had jumped up onto the apron, and Kane turned around and got up on the apron, and Bryan, I don't know if Kane was going to chokeslam Bryan through the table, but Bryan just kind of threw him off, and Kane falls backwards through the flaming table. And immediately, some guy comes up with a fire extinguisher, starts spraying the shit out. And I think that hurt Kane more than the fire did. Bryan's back in the ring. After being put out by the fire extinguisher, Kane rolls back in the ring. Gets up. Bryan comes charging out of the corner, super running knee, knocks Kane the fuck out, covers him 1, 2, 3. Bryan wins. And I predicted that, so clean sweep. I was right on every fucking match. Bryan's celebrating with the belts, yes. Yes, he gets out of the ring, starts going up the aisleway. And as he's getting up, as Bryan's going up the ramp, I think he looked up at the Titantron, and he sees Kane do the Jason Voorhees spot again, where he sits up. And Kane sits up and he looks over, and he gets up, and he does his big arm raising and throwing down pose, and the stage blows up with pyro. And Kane's music starts playing, and we get the red lighting. So Kane's just pissed off now. But Bryan still won the match. So I guess the feud's gonna keep going. I don't know why, though. Anyways, that's the end of the pay-per-view. So yeah, I went 8 for 8. Predicted everything that happened tonight. Or at least all the winners. So, yeah. Oh yeah, the Bryan and Kane match was actually pretty good too, so. It wasn't as good as the Shield match, but it was still good. I think it was better than all the other matches, though. But yeah, I just clean sweeped this pay-per-view in the predictions. That was awesome. They didn't add any other matches, obviously. Once again, we'll recap the matches like we always do. El Torito defeats Hornswoggle in the first and hopefully last ever WeLC match. The match was shit. That was the pre-show. In the actual pay-per-view, Cesaro defeats Rob Van Dam and Jack Swagger in a triple threat elimination match. That was an alright match. Alexander Rusev defeats Truth and Woods in a shit match. Wade Barrett defeats Big E for the Intercontinental title in an okay match. So we get a new Intercontinental champion. And I really doubt Barrett's going to go anywhere here, folks. I really doubt it. The Shield defeats Evolution in a great fucking match. Holy hell. That was ridiculous. That Rollins dive off the top of that doorway was awesome. Yeah. And then Bray Wyatt defeats John Cena in a boring as fuck cage match that didn't keep Harper and Rowan out at all. Just like I said it wouldn't. Match was boring as fuck. I already said that, but I'm going to say it again because I fucking hate these two guys. You're boring as fuck. Paige defeats Tamina for the Divas title in an okay match. And then Daniel Bryan defeats Kane in the Extreme Rules WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. It was a good match. Bryan wins to retain the title. But Kane ain't dead yet, so it looks like we're going to get more to this feud, although I don't know why. I get they're probably just going to use this to put Daniel Bryan over some more. That don't bother me none, so whatever. Anyways, that was the recap for the matches. That was the Extreme Rules pay-per-view from May 4th, 2014 from East Rutherford, New Jersey, the Izod Center. May the 4th be with you. That was it for the pay-per-view. Clean sweeped it. Predicted all of that shit. And despite the pay-per-view being totally predictable, I'm still not all that bothered by it. That Shield match was awesome. Yeah, that was great fucking match. And the Bryan and Kane match was pretty good. They went backstage and stuff. Holy shit. You think maybe they might add in the backstage stuff for the new WWE game? That would be cool. You know, now that they're going to be putting it on the next-gen consoles, you figure they got more space to work with. They could add more stuff, add more moves, add more people. That would be nice. I haven't even played 2K14 yet. I don't give a shit. I still have 13, and I haven't played it in months. Because the WWE games just suck anymore lately. It's the same shit every year. They don't change anything, really. And the only few moves they add are either stupid looking or nobody cares. And then we have to do this stupid story mode every year. In 13, it was the Attitude Era mode. Yeah, the Attitude Era was great, but I don't want to relive old memories. I want to make new ones. And then for 14, 2K14, they do the 30 Years of WrestleMania mode. Again, reliving old memories. Go fuck yourself. Here's an idea for your story mode next year, for the next game. It's either the main story mode, or it could be the Road to WrestleMania mode, whatever. But you use one of your created guys. He starts on NXT, works his way up to the main roster, doing like the C-level shows like Main Event and Superstars, and then you make your way on to SmackDown and Raw, and you start winning titles, and then you get to win the big title at WrestleMania. You know, wouldn't that be cool? That's something I'd rather do. I don't care about these stupid, idiotic stories that they come up with. And these stupid reliving the past modes. And stop putting so many fucking legends in the game. I want the current roster. None of these old guys. Anyways, digressing aside. That was the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, like I said. May the 4th, 2014, from East Rutherford, New Jersey, the Izod Center. Pay-per-view, overall, I would say, was... It was an alright pay-per-view. It was a hell of a lot better than WrestleMania. But considering nothing really cool happened at WrestleMania, aside from Bryan winning the title, and then that just kick in the nuts of Brock beating the streak. They had better use Brock to put somebody else over. Because there's no reason to have Brock beat the streak if not to put somebody else over. You should have just had somebody else beat The Undertaker. Anyways, that's it for this episode of the Wrestling Rant. Like I said, the pay-per-view was alright. A lot better than WrestleMania. Join us tomorrow night for Raw. We get to see the debut of Adam Rose. Like that's gonna matter. Wondering if Bo Dallas might debut too. Not that I care. Want to see Bo Dallas debut and then just get the shit beat out of him. Like, have the Shield come out and just beat the shit out of Bo. Give him the fall of justice off the stage through a stack of tables. Just like they did to Fandango. And then Johnny comes running out and dances all over Bo's corpse. Dancing on your corpse. Anyways. Join us tomorrow night for Raw. Thank you for watching. We will see you tomorrow night for Raw. Good night.